In this video, we are looking at the super popular Sherwin-Williams Aesthetic White. If you're looking for a flexible neutral, one that you could maybe even paint on your cabinets, trims, and walls, this could be the color for you. Now, when I'm looking at a paint color, one of the first things I start with is its depth. Aesthetic White is an off-white paint color. And how do I know that? Because it has an LRV of 73. So LRV, it's a beautiful topic and I have a great blog post on it. I want you to check it out. But the short end of it is that it's a number that every paint color has, tells you how light or dark it is. So at 73, we're in the off-white range, but we're in the darker end of the off-white range. We are not near the white range. So just because it says it's aesthetic white, doesn't mean it's actually white. Never judge a paint color by its name. You don't want to judge a wine bottle by its label or a paint color by its name. Seriously. So next thing I'm considering are its undertones. Now, aesthetic white is a beige, so sure, there's that little bit of orange, warm neutral in there, but a lot of colors in the warm range can go yellow, orange, pink, sometimes a wink of green or purple. Aesthetic white, I've had people say, oh, I saw a bit of green. Other people say, I saw a bit of pink. So the thing with this color is that it doesn't really commit to a set undertone other than being a little bit beige, which means that it can shift itself depending on your room's exposure, the light bulbs you use, the finishes you surround it with. So if you put this with a finish that say has a lot of pink in it, okay, it could look a touch bit green in comparison. So you want to sample it carefully. I find that more often than not, it works like a charm, but when it doesn't, I've got a great video showing you some similar colors to compare it to, because you never just want to compare it all on its own. Grab those sampleized peel and stick, slap them on your walls, take a look. Now, if you have a north-facing room or a room that say has east-facing afternoon light, west-facing morning light, these are either cold lights or kind of flat, dull lights, right? Aesthetic white can be really nice because it adds a really good passive warmth without a commitment to, like, you know, the Tuscan beiges of the 2000s, which nobody wants to do anymore. Okay, there's the odd person and they're okay. But generally, when people are looking for a more modern shade, they want it lighter and they want it more subtle, more muted, more grayed out, like aesthetic white. On the other hand, if you have a south-facing room or one that gets, say, western afternoon sunshine, these rooms can be roasty toasty. And if you put a super warm color in there, you're like doubling up, you're in an easy bake oven and it's cooking. So you want to be careful, which is why I like aesthetic white, is because it's warm, but it's not over the top. It will look that bit warmer without getting as heavy as, say, Sherwin-Williams Killam beige, which is like a really skookum beige. You want to be careful with those rich saturated beiges, which is why I love this color. Now, there's a chance that you want to use aesthetic white on your cabinets, your walls, and your trim for a nice color wash, color drenched look. That is a-okay with me. It's a wicked shade, great for that look, and super on trend for just a really, what do you call it, like organic, natural, relaxing feel. But you also might want to paint your cabinets white or your trim white, and you need the right color, or you might have white trim and you're crossing your fingers that it looks good with aesthetic white. And while I make no promises, I have a few good ones to show you. Let's start with Sherwin-Williams Alabaster, warm creamy white. It is not so hot with aesthetic white. Alabaster has too much cream in it, too much yellow. Aesthetic white has orange, so they're not super happy together. Alabaster also has a relatively low LRV compared to most of the popular whites, so it's a beautiful color, don't get me wrong, just not with aesthetic white. Benjamin Moore Chantilly Lace. Now we're popping. So that's where we want to see some serious contrast. Gorgeous. And just so you know, I've had clients take aesthetic white and do it 50% lighter for their trim for a really subtle approach. Now, when you lighten or darken a color, you are creating a new color. The undertones can shift. The LRV is changing. But I would say more often than not, it works. You get a really nice, subtle tone-on-tone look. So don't be afraid to play around. If you have cream trim, like Sherwin-Williams Antique White, Benjamin Moore Navajo White, Sherwin-Williams Creamy, it's a hard no. It doesn't get much more of a hot mess than that. So I don't even need to explain, just know. Benjamin Moore White Dove. Now we're entering colors that are badass. White Dove, aesthetic white. Now I did aesthetic white at a home up at Sprout Lake. I did White Dove 25% lighter because I wanted that contrast to be a little bit more noticeable, and it looked stunning. So you can see there, beautiful combo. So look at the difference here. Again, you always want to compare, even whites compare. So look at the difference between Chantilly Lace, look how aesthetic whites pop in there, and with White Dove. It depends on what look you want. You like that contrasting look? Maybe like a little bit more softness with White Dove, that's cool beans with me. But again, I still might lighten it by 25% just to tweak it. I like to tweak colors. Sherwin-Williams Extra White can be a great trim or cabinet color. There you go, looking good. What do we have left? Benjamin Moore Simply White, a nice brighter white with a touch of yellow. I like that. That's all right. What I do, that being said, when it comes up on cabinets, it's a lot of square footage. It can come up more yellow. I would maybe do this for trim, but I don't know if I do cabinets with walls. Simply White could be a bit too yellow. And my favorite, when it comes to aesthetic white, has to be Sherwin-Williams Pure White. Check that out. Gorgeous. It's just a happy medium. If we compare here, okay. If we look at Pure White, White Dove, these actually have very similar LRVs, but you can see Pure White has less cream, less warmth in it, so it comes off a little bit more contrasting with aesthetic white. So you just get to choose which look you like. Now if we compare Pure White to Chantilly Lace, who has a pretty face, not as much of a difference there, but again, Pure White's just a bit softer. Chantilly Lace is a cleaner, brighter contrast. So in my next videos, we are going to look at colors that coordinate with aesthetic white for a color palette, as well as similar colors, so you can do some comparing.